Y'all goofy.
Thank you so much, Jon. Good old welcome. I love it. Welcome to the show. Greg, thanks for joining us today. We are, I just lost everything. Sorry. Greg was a CPA with Arthur Andersen and worked in business development for Aurora Healthcare before founding and operating Applewood Senior Living. He then founded and managed Infinity Development in 2022, and in 2022 founded and became the managing member of Great Life Communities, with the first development being The Woods. I like the name of that. I like the name of that. Welcome to the show. We're going to refer back to the audience question. How do you make decisions? You made some big career changes, and how do you create the confidence in those decisions?
You bet. Well, obviously, having an accounting background, I realized early on that accounting really wasn't my future. And I actually read a book from Elmbrook Church called The Great Niche Hunt. And The Great Niche Hunt was a very short book, but it was about looking at your past to figure out your future. And you guys mentioned earlier in the show how one thing leads to another. And I realized that my special gift was working with seniors. I grew up taking care of my grandma. Well, she took care of me, but I also took care of her, but spent a lot of time with her at a very young age. And I realized that my niche to share was working with seniors, creating better lives, making people happier, creating experiences for them that are better. And that's really been my career for the last almost 30 years.
Wow. So a little bit more about your background and how did you get to where you are today? So you talked about the accounting, but you've been doing nursing homes for 30 years. So tell us a little bit about that journey.
You betcha. So, well, first, we don't like to use the word nursing home because it's a bad word.
Okay.
Even facility is a bad word. What I realized, so when we started Applewood, Applewood at the time was very cutting edge. It was something different. We created residences for seniors who needed assisted living type services, but they were more home-like. They weren't a nursing home, they weren't a facility, they were almost like a neighborhood of connected homes, which is what evolutionized to Great Life Communities. And I worked in that area for over 20 years, 25 years, and my partner decided to retire, so we had sold that business in 2017. And I started working on Great Life Communities, which was my next evolution. And Great Life Communities is based on the idea that most seniors are not excited about moving into a senior community. They're not excited. And my whole premise of the idea was, how do we make it compelling for seniors to actually be excited about moving, because most have lived in their home for 30, 40, 50 years, and the idea of moving isn't very exciting.
Yeah.
It's not visually appealing. I worked in long-term care pharmacy for 13 years, so I visited a lot of facilities all throughout the state of Wisconsin, and there's not that I'm excited to go here place in many areas. It's like, oh, you have an assisted living where it's just a giant building and they have a community room, or you have the other long-term care facilities where you may have some more dementia type patients where they need more full-time care, can't quite live on their own, but none of them are visually appealing to someone that has been proud of the home that they've owned for 50 years, and now they maybe have to go to it for some other reason, or their spouse passes or whatever. So I think the idea of this is amazing.
Sure. So The Woods, which is the flagship Great Life community, was created with the idea of creating a connection of ranch homes. Many of our parents, grandparents, the ranch home was very popular, and giving people the opportunity to have access to the outdoors. The one thing that happened during COVID, we originally had a vertical big box building like most communities have. It is more reasonable to build vertical than it is build ranch. But what we realized, and what I realized during COVID, was that most people were fearing getting locked out from their families. It happened over and over and over.
Yes.
Even in my own family, my grandfather was on the 3rd floor stranded in a senior community in Sheboygan.
Yeah.
And so it hit me that, oh my God, we need to create the ability for the residents to be in charge of their surroundings. And what we did is The Woods is basically a whole community of connected ranch homes in a neighborhood type setting. So we're essentially a neighborhood within a neighborhood,
It's
which is
so
very
cool.
different.
That is so cool.
And everybody's got their own little patio and
Their own front door.
Their own front door. It's like their own little apartment, like their own little hotel room.
Yep. And what's interesting and fun is that we created a community where you can have privacy of your own home if you want it. But if you want to be around community and people, which socialization is extremely important, for living healthier and happier, you can go out your back door and there, because of our weather, but you have indoor access to amenities in the middle of the community of the woods, where you mentioned the bar,
Yeah.
which is a very popular amenity and
Oh,
will
I'm
be
sure.
I mean,
fitness center.
I look forward to going there. Like, let me retire and move in.
Well, and that's just the thing, like there's oftentimes a community room where sometimes they'll do bingo or, play board games or whatever, but having some of the home amenities, like, doing something in your backyard, I don't know if you do like grill out days or whatever you might do, but having that social aspect of sitting maybe at a bar stool might be something that's really comforting to somebody, or being able to play some table tennis or something just a little bit different than the average one community room. That's where you eat, that's where you play your games, that's where you do all your things.
Right, yeah.
One thing we try to do different is we're very resident focused, so we want residents, not us to decide what activities and social things they desire. We'll have monthly resident meetings. Food's very important. Our chef will have monthly resident meetings with the residents, asking them, what are the things that you enjoy that you haven't had from the past that you would like to enjoy now?
How cool is that?
The social activities, physical exercise, social exercise, spiritual exercise, and mental exercise, those are all keys to aging well. So instead of us as administrators and the team telling residents what they would like, we actually have meetings and we ask them, what things would you enjoy? Many times people lose track. They stop doing the things that they used to do because they weren't able. Our goal is to help residents and people stay independent. And it has been proven that if you are in a positive environment that you can actually be healthier and happier, and that's really the whole gist of the woods, is creating a home-like environment where people can maintain their independence. We do offer assisted living services, but let's face it, none of us want to get assisted living services.
Right.
So we try to flip the switch on that and say our whole goal is to help people stay independent, help residents stay independent. And we are creating a model where you can have more independence living in a community, a neighborhood of connected homes, than you are able to living at home. At some point, you'll realize that with some support, we can help you stay independent. So we call it living assistance services versus assisted living services. And this is really kind of flipping the switch on the typical model, which is our whole goal here is to be somewhat disruptive and offer something different than everyone else.
I think that's cool. I'm going to assume you're probably going to continue to be pretty full with that model.
And you're planning on building more locations, right?
To my wife's dismay, but we're one step at a time. So we're just, full disclosure, tomorrow is our open house.
Yes.
So we're just opening tomorrow.
Very cool.
We have had a few residents that had to move sooner.
Yeah.
But we will be open tomorrow. Our open house actually is from 2 to 5 tomorrow.
With the ribbon cutting.
With a ribbon cutting.
That I will be at.
Yes. And, that's awesome. And we will officially be open. So we're just kind of getting the word out. What's hard, we are a family business. We're local. I live local. Our team all lives local. We just appreciate the opportunity to do something different and make senior living more exciting, not so boring. So our community is more modern, more upbeat. We picked an architectural firm, Rinka Architects, who are very involved in changing the landscape of Milwaukee. We want to make living fun, and it can be fun and exciting even in a senior community or a neighborhood as we created.
The architecture is great.
Yeah,
It's all
I
this
can't wait to see it.
black, it's just beautiful.
I can't wait to see it. So you really created your own path with this, it sounds like. What do you want to share with our audience about creating their own path or creating your own path?
I know that you talked earlier about decision making, and what I realized, some decisions work out, some don't, and I take a pie chart and I actually literally make a pie chart and I put all the positives and all the negatives. And you obviously, you could have a 50-50 chance, but if there are more positives than negatives, usually you go with it. The one thing that I learned over the years is if you try something and it doesn't work, it's okay, you learn, and then you move on and you try something different. Many times I see entrepreneurs continuing on that same path, and if it's not working, they don't try something else, they keep doing it and they keep doing it. So my recommendation is, you know what, if you try something and it doesn't work out, it's okay, learn from it and then try something different. And decisions are hard, but having that pie chart, listing out your positives and your negatives, you know, you have a 50-50 chance of making a good decision, but if there's one more positive than a negative, usually I say, let's move forward on that decision.
Sometimes just physically putting something down on paper really helps you to make that decision too. Like you really visualize, this is really more important to me than this, whether it be positive or negative, whatever it is, but actually physically seeing it written down, I think is really important and really helpful.
You bet.
So one more quick question before we wrap up. Do you see a lot of other assisted living centers offering this same kind of thing, or do you think you're like really on the edge of creating a new dynamic?
Well, the reality is most people don't want to move. They want to stay in their own home. So what we created is the most home-like living experience possible. And I do think this is a new evolution of having a all design where it's basically connected homes. It's not a vertical big box building. There is the next evolution. The next evolution of Great Life communities will continue to be even more home-like environments, because the reality is that most of us, the idea of moving, even for us, is like, oh, why would I want to live around all these people? But if we can create another evolution, and the woods is this first evolution of connected ranch homes and creating a neighborhood, we can create even better neighborhoods. So my goal is to continue to create amazing neighborhoods of seniors, mature individuals who want to have the ability to have convenience with amenities, but also have the privacy of your own home, and really have it a place where you can live healthy and live happy.
Nice. I'm looking forward to getting older now.
I'm not. I'm just being honest. Sounds great, but no.
So besides your event coming up tomorrow, do you have any other special offers or anything that you want to share with our audience? Tomorrow's a big day, so.
Tomorrow's a big day.
Yeah.
We are expecting a full crowd. But what we are offering is if somebody would call or email us and would like to come for a tour, we're offering a free meal ticket. We have an amazing chef. We realize food's very important, and we say, hey, come on in and try it out. So we're offering this meal opportunity where you can actually get a card and you can come for a meal and actually see what it's like, actually try the food, and just experience that something different than just, you know, going to a restaurant. You can actually try our built-in restaurant.
Wow, nice.
That's pretty cool. Where are the woods?
The Woods is at 118th and Edgerton Avenue in Greenfield, Wisconsin.
Beautiful.
We butt up to the Whitnell Nature Pod and the Whitnell Middle School, but we do enter off Edgerton. What's odd is that we actually are a neighborhood within a neighborhood. So there are single family homes nearby, but we're very connected and want to be connected with our neighborhood, which again, many times people moving feel they get disconnected.